Hello viewers, welcome to Top Notch TV. With you today is teacher Emis Njabani, a teacher of English and Literature, an examiner as well as an author. With me is our lovely Tr.Risper Okwisa, a teacher of English and Literature, an examiner and an author as well. So this session we are going to look at characters and character traits. Do not forget our learners that we have other sessions that are also looking at plot analysis, styles, as well as thematic concerns. So we are going to start with one of the major characters, Mr. Mossy, Mayor Mossy, and teacher Risper is going to take us through. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us, viewers. I'll be tackling Mayor Mossy. Mayor Mossy is the character, and then we want to look at his traits. Mayor Mossy is the mayor in charge of Maracas municipality. He is popularly calling himself Mossy or Atunya. In other words, the smoke that thunders whenever he is tempted to threaten an enemy. Among the traits of Mayor Mossy include, number one, he is calculative / scheming. And being calculative or scheming, we are looking at instances such as, number one, to prove that he is calculative, he plans on a way that he will arrest his opponents so that they will not be able to meet and pass the vote of no confidence in him. That is one instance that proves that he is calculative / scheming. That can be found on page 44. Another example that makes him scheming can be found on page 28. Mayor Mossy is planning on how they can hack the Samaritan to make it not function properly so that they can get away with the evils that they have been accused of. Example number 3 to show that Mayor Mossy is calculative / scheming. He is the one that suggests that they blackmail Justice Jaden in order to flip him to their side and therefore use him to jail his opponents. We go to yet another character trait of Mayor Mossy, and we shall be looking at Mayor Mossy as someone who is corrupt. He is corrupt through a number of illustrations. Number one, when they realized that Inspector Bembe had been given land that belonged to the university, he assures Inspector Bembe that he would allocate him another piece of land. Now we are wondering, where is this piece of land supposed to come to? All this is public property, therefore he comes out as corrupt. Another instance where Mossy is corrupt is through his self-confession that out of a loaf of bread, he usually eats a slice or two. He admits to being corrupt. Another thing on page 39 to prove that Mossy is corrupt, we are being told that he is being accused of municipal capture. What is municipal capture? It is whereby his interests are the ones that determine the way the municipality will be run. It makes him to be corrupt. I go to the third character trait of Mayor Mossy, and I'll be calling Mayor Mossy someone who is strategic, someone who knows how to go about things. And Mayor Mossy being strategic is when Simo fronts the idea that they go persuade the boy and the girl, the students, or even talk to Principal Narin, Mossy is quick to tell them that is not the way to go. If they go to the principal, it will look like they want to interfere with the running of the school. And if they go to the students, they cannot be dealing with kids. That brings him out as strategic. And he finally campaigns for them speaking to Teacher Nicole instead. That can be found on page 30. Mayor Mossy also has another character trait, a character trait that we shall be calling abusive. His abusive nature will come out in page 35. On page 35, he is calling Ted and Simo. Once then they now want to force him to allocate a supplementary budget, he ends up calling them fools who were once jigger-infested hoodlums. That brings him out as abusive. Fools, jigger-infested hoodlums, as he refers to Ted and Simo. We move to yet another character trait of Mayor Mossy. Mayor Mossy is also someone you can call firm. Someone firm also stands by their decisions. Mayor Mossy is firm in that when they try to push his hand into passing the supplementary budget, he refuses. And even after they threaten that they might hound him out of office, he does not relent and he looks for other avenues to deal with his enemies. But what he has said no to, that he will not be passing the supplementary budget, he does not do it at the end of it. Another character trait of Mayor Mossy, we are looking at him as intimidating, or threatening. They all mean the same. One who instills in other people fear. And Mayor Mossy is in the character of always reminding people he is the smoke that thunders. He leaves smoke in his wake. And an example can be found on page 46, where he is instructing Inspector Bembe as they're dealing with the opponents to avert the meeting that they had planned, that they constantly should shoot in the air, leaving behind smoke. He wants his opponents to get some kind of a scare tactic. He's using some scare tactic to instill fear in his opponents and to communicate to them indirectly, I'm the one behind this. We further move on to another wants to show off, and his being showy can be illustrated by the fact that every time he attends a meeting, look at the number of people will be calling him from all avenues. And when he gets into that meeting, we see him that he displays the three of them on the table. That brings him out as someone who is showy. To yet another trait of Mossy, we are looking at him as hypocritical. The first illustration on Mossy being hypocritical can be found on page 18. On page 18, he pretends that he is executioning his given mandate to protect public interest. He refuses to launch the Samaritan application, and according to him, he is protecting the interest of the people as he has been mandated. Because according to him, it will be used as an avenue to witch hunt and spread falsehood. But you know that in reality, he doesn't want it to come to light. Another illustration to make him hypocritical, he wants to compromise Nicole and pull Nicole to his side. Once he comes over there to see Nicole, he pretends that he is sorry about their earlier disagreements, and he goes ahead and says it was nothing personal. Still on Mossy being hypocritical, we can 60, where we are saying he wants the negative information about him to be filtered. In other words, he wants to portray himself before the public as someone full of vices. We go to yet another character trait of Mayor Mossy. He is someone who is fear. Illustration number 1, to portray Mossy as fearful, we are looking at the number of times he loses sleep over the fact whenever he thinks that he might. Example number 2 to show that Mossy is fearful, and he is hiding. I'll be going to the last illustration on Mayor Mossy. Not that I have exhausted all of them. You can still find other examples to do with his character. The last one I'll be tackling is one that I'll be calling cruel. His cruel nature can be found on page 78, where we are being told that it is the suspicion of other people that Mayor Mossy had fed him on rat poison or some kind of insecticide. Feeding an opponent on insecticide because he might be the one to take your place brings him out as cruel. The second example on Mossy being cruel can be found on page 65. On page 65, and Mossy has been disgusted by the betrayal from Ted and Simon. He goes ahead describing Ted as someone who is sickly, and he is hoping that Ted dies soon. Wishing death upon another person brings cruel, and it can be found on page 65. As I am winding up on Mossy, I'll be talking about the role of Mossy contributes to plot development. There's a part he plays in the moving forward of the story. Number 2, he Nicole. You see that Nicole refuses. Number 3, he has been used to develop styles such when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I've just paraphrased. And finally, the role of Mayor Mossy, we shall be looking at him as he helps in development of themes such as corruption and misuse of power. That is it about Mayor Mossy. I'll be inviting my colleague to take us through yet another character.
Thank you, Tr.Risper. So we are looking at the second character, Principal Narin. She's the principal of we are told that she has a strong personality. And again on page 56, she tells Nicole that she's not going to allow any teacher to deviate from the course that the school is supposed to take. That is when she was telling Nicole to know the kind of battles that she is going to engage in and the kind of to allow anyone, even Nicole, to affect the smooth running of the school. And number 2, she's also brought out as fearful or apprehensive. That is page 55 and 57. She tells Nicole that she thinks that Nicole should quit the Samaritan and not engage in and which ones to avoid and which ones to deter. So she's afraid that the constant visits that they're getting from the leaders of the municipality might do some harm to herself as the principal, as well as to the running of the school, and it might affect even the students. So she's afraid and out as cautious, page 57. She says that she's a seasoned administrator and she knows the value of learning to pick battles. At some point, she tells the municipal leaders that she wants to separate the school from politics. And every time they come to see Nicole, she tells them that she's not part of the Samaritan app. The school has nothing to do with the Samaritan app. They have distanced themselves from the Samaritan app because if there are consequences that befalls anyone who is pushing for the Samaritan app, she wants to make sure that it does not befall all the school. So she is brought out as someone who is cautious. Number 4, she is temperamental or irritable. That is page 128. She tells and she is completely fed up. She also asks Nicole if she is a secretary or her maid, or if she with Nicole, and says that she can't always be receiving calls from the municipal leaders that they want to come to school to see Nicole. She is not Nicole. Like Nicole now needs to stop this. She can't keep on hosting the political leaders in school, yet she needs the school to run smoothly. The last one, she's sarcastic on page 129. She sarcastically asks Nicole if there is nothing that will be happening in school apart from leaders coming to see her. So she's asking leaders who are coming to see you. So she's brought out as being sarcastic on page 129. I'm just going to do those 5 traits. We have more others in the play for Miss Narin or Principal Narin, and she has also helped, that is now a role, in developing or propelling the story forward. Also, she has helped to develop styles such as sarcasm. Remember, I just said that she's sarcastic, as well as to bring out traits of other characters, such as Nicole as being determined. Even with the intimidation coming from her boss, Principal Narin, does not give up. She still fights for what she believes is right. So she helps to bring out Nicole's trait as being determined. So we are moving on to the next, our third character. Also, Tr.Risper.
I'll be tackling the third character. I'll be settling on Ramdaye. Ramdaye is the deputy mayor, an old man. He is also the municipal secretary for physical infrastructure. You look at the number of times he's being blamed. Please. Among the traits of Ramdaye, number one, he is corrupt and has struck it with dishonest. First illustration, page 62. He gives municipal tenders to his companies and those of his family, and from there, they use it to embezzle, they use the position to embezzle funds. He is therefore dishonest, he is corrupt. Another second example of his corrupt nature, well, it is coming from page 63. We are being told that he's a con man, and there is not a person that he has not conned pieces of land. We are learning that he gives the same title deed to a number of people, but he collects the money from the different people. For instance, he has already sold the land belonging to the public, land belonging to a university, which is public land, and he sells to Inspector Bembe, where he builds the Madingo Golf Club. Of Ramdaye, number two, I'll be calling him naive or ignorant. Someone who is naive, they lack the experience. Someone who is ignorant, they lack the knowledge. And his lack of knowledge has been portrayed when they're talking about the internet. Through the Samaritan, it is messing them up. This guy goes ahead and he is asking out of the server. This shows that he is not familiar when it comes to technology, therefore he is fearful. And the illustration can be found on page 75. His fearful nature comes out when Mayor Mossy tries to thwart the meeting of these municipal officials so that they will not pass the vote of no confidence in him. Ramdaye takes to his heel at such a fast rate, much to the shock of Simo. Simo later makes fun of him. We go to another trait of Ramdaye. Ramdaye is someone who is cruel. This can be found on page 79. There's a time that Ted is giving him information as to the analysis of Mr. Torch in terms of who is a better leader between Mossy and Ramdaye. And he hears that Mr. Torch had given his judgment that even in a beauty contest, there has to emerge a winner. When he hears that, he says, devil take his soul. When someone says, devil take your soul, it is like they are wishing death upon an enemy. That brings out Ramdaye as someone who is cruel. We still have other traits of Ramdaye that you can still find in the book. We are simply giving a guide. And then to the role, he enhances styles such as humor. When he says, where is the server, so that you can extract the information out of it, we'll look at it, it brings out some kind of humor, it brings out some kind of satire, the mockery on his lack of knowledge. He also enhances themes such as corruption in his giving, tenders to his family and friends. Another role of Ramdaye, he enhances plot development. It reaches a time they fall out with Mayor Mossy and they also form their own alliance that contributes to plot development. Teacher Emis, could you continue further than that?
Thank you, Tr.Risper. So our learners, we have come to the end of our first session on character traits. Stay tuned for more explanation and illustrations on the rest of the characters. Do not forget to press that subscribe button. Until next time, bye-bye.